Hi everyone, welcome back to the Crafty Author. My name is Anissa, I am the Crafty Author, and today we are going to be working on the block of the month. So this will be for September. So you should currently have 8 blocks if you're following along, and now you will have 9 of them. This one is going to be very simple. I've shown you how to do this before, but I realized that we don't even have this one on our quilt wall. So we're going to get started with this, but I'm going to tell you what it is. We are going to make a pinwheel block, and I am going to show you how I make pinwheels. So let's get started. Okay, so I've gone ahead and I've made just a sample. This one is much smaller than the one that we're going to make, but I just want to show you this is what the pinwheel looks like. So like I said, basic pinwheel, and we are going to be making this, and it's a lot of fun, it's fast, and it's very easy. And the way that I'm going to show this to you, you will actually be able to make 2 of them. So if you find that you make one and you don't like it, you always have another one that you can try with, right? Okay, let's get started on that. Okay, so for those of you who have been following along for a while, you'll know that we have been using fat quarters. I am using fat quarters. I'm just using a bundle that I have left over. So I'm going to use this white one with this red polka dot print this time. So you can use yardage, or you can use fat quarters. But this one we're going to cut at 14.5. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to cut off a raw edge. Actually, I need a longer ruler than that. So you'll want your longer ruler. I thought I could get away with using a smaller one, but I can't. So I'm going to cut the half here. Okay. And then I'm just going to count over, I'm using my mat, and I'm just going to count over 14. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 13, 14. So I have 14.5 this way. Since I cut it on the half line over here. So there's that. And then I have this extra scrap that I put in my scrap bin to cut for later. Then I'm just going to go ahead, I'm just going to put both my hands down, and I'm going to, no, I'm not, I'm just going to spin it like that. That's what I'm going to do. And again, I'm going to cut on the half here, okay, on this side. Just using the lines on my mat, so it's very easy. And I'm going to count 14 over again. Not the half part, but next to it. Okay, so now I have a 14.5 by 14.5 piece of fabric. And I have some more scrap. And I did press this, actually. I did press this fabric before I cut it. And you will probably want to do the same. I'm going to use a clip to just clip it at the top, just to hold the layers together. Actually, I'm going to clip down here as well. Right about there. And then I think I'm going to move it over to here. Now, there's a reason for this. And that reason is because now what you need is a pencil, a regular pencil, and a ruler that's long enough to go along your lines. And as you can see, mine is not long enough here, so I'm going to have to use the big one. So I'm just going to take it and I'm going to lay it down, and I'm going to mark this from corner to corner, and I'm going to draw a diagonal line if I can ever line up on that corner piece there. That's good. Just want to make sure that I'm right here. Oh, doggone it. And then I broke my pencil lead. All right, so now I have this line going down here. Except for I have those clips on there, so that kind of hindered my ability there. So when you're working with the clips, just make sure you're able to mark your line. Okay, there we go. Now I'm going to go from corner to corner on this one as well. You know what? It's easier to stand up. Okay. And I'm just going to hold my ruler down and draw my line like so. So now you should have an X going through. Then I'm going to come over here and I'm going to line up in the center, and I'm going to use this line right here on my mat, lining up on this mat right here on my center point. You can see I'm lined up all the way across, and this is to ensure that I'm getting a straight line, except for I'm not on that. I'm not right in the center, and that's where I need to be, is right in the center. So that tells me I need to move this down just a little bit more, and then I just need to make a small line there. Okay, and then I'm going to do the same thing right there. So that's my center line, and I'm gonna move in. It doesn't have to be exact, but you want to be pretty close. So right there. So now I have all my marks. Now you might be asking yourself, well, why do you need so many marks? Well, the answer to that is because when we're done sewing this, because what we're going to do is we're going to sew 1/4 of an inch on this side of this line, 1/4 of an inch on this side of this diagonal line, and then we're going to come over here and do the same thing, 1/4 of an inch down, 1/4 of an inch down on each side of our diagonal lines. And then when we're done, we're going to come back and we're going to cut on these lines, and that's going to give us 8 pieces. So that will make 2 pinwheel blocks. So let's do this. So I have my 2 pieces of fabric facing each other. So you should have your right sides facing each other. And I am going to use a lead for this. That way, when I start sewing, I can just ease onto the fabric and I don't have to worry about it bunching up or nesting. And I am using a 1/4 inch walking foot. That comes with my machine. And I'm just going to lift up my needle and my presser foot, and I'm going to just keep everything right there, and then I'm going to push my foot back down, drop my needle, and start sewing on the other side of that line that we drew with our pencil. Okay, so we're done with that one. So we have one side done, as you can see. Now we're going to sew on the other side of the diagonal. And for those of you who do not know what a lead is, it is a piece of scrap fabric that you sew on before you sew onto another piece of fabric. And it helps with trying to think and sew at the same time. That's a good thing. It helps to keep the fabric from bunching up when you start sewing. So now we're done. We're done with the sewing. So we've sewn our X, is what I like to call it. Okay, here's our big moment. So now what we're gonna do is we're just gonna line our ruler up on that line that we cut originally. And I'm going to take these clips off now because we don't really need them. But you do wanna make sure that you keep this very, very steady. You do not want this fabric to move. And also, if you have a rotating mat, now is a really good time to pull it out and use it. So I'm just gonna line up right here on that line. I'm gonna hold this down. And it did move just a little bit, not much. So I'm just gonna kind of push it back together a little bit. Okay, so now we've done our cut diagonally. Now we're gonna cut straight. So where we drew our straight line, we're gonna use that as our guide. And we're going to cut this straight. And I can't seem to get on there. Now I'm in, just because I have a little bit of movement there, so that's why you want to be careful. And now we're going to cut straight across on this line. Okay. Like I said, does not need to be perfect, but you want it to be pretty close here. This is what takes the most time. It's just ensuring that you've got things lined up fairly well. Okay, and there we go. Okay, and that's it for that. So now we have these two pieces. So you want to keep your pieces together because of the way you cut. So when you're doing this, you'll know that these two go together and these two go together, but you definitely want to keep these pieces together because you've cut them and they're the same size, basically. So if you're off a little bit over here, then it won't line up here. I hope that makes sense. So now I'm going to just open this up. And I'm going to press to the dark side, but I'm going to take this over to the ironing board and I am really going to give this a good press. So I'll finger press it first, then I'll press it out. So I've pressed that out, and now what I want to do is I want to lay out my pinwheel. So I want to lay out how this is going to work. So I'm going to just put these together so that I know what order I need to sew these in. So it's always a good idea to lay it out before you start sewing because it's really easy to sew things backwards. But there I have my pinwheel and it looks perfect. So the way that I'm going to do this is, again, I'm going to use a lead. And I'm going to take my top two pieces and I'm going to put them together in the order that they need to go to be sewn. And I'm going to make sure that they're nice and even. Oh, I forgot one step. I'm going to trim off these dog ears. I forgot to do that. These little dog ears that are on our tips here. I'm just going to trim those off. Can't believe I forgot to do that. Makes it easier to sew when you do it. You don't have to, but now I have to redo my my pinwheel. All right, let's give this a try again. Okay. So here are my 2 pieces here, like so. Yep. Oop. Yep. Yep. So I'm going to set these 2 bottom pieces aside. I'm going to take these 2 top pieces. I'm going to sew them together. Just trying to get it to line up exactly the way I need it to. Okay. And now I'm going to leave that one there, and I'm going to come and I'm going to grab the 2 bottom pieces, and I'm going to put those together. And I'm just going to sew down. Okay, that part's done. I'm going to trim off my lead because I don't need it there. And I'm going to press this to the dark side. So my dark side is going to be these polka dots. I'm working with very light fabric, so honestly, it really would not matter. But that's what I'm going to do. This is, I'm finger pressing. And then I'm going to finger press this one this way. Okay. And then these are attached. Now you can see. Okay. I'm going to flip it. And my 2 seams actually nest together automatically because we didn't trim those seams. See? They're going opposite directions and they're already lining up. So that's great news. And we're just going to put this under the machine and start going. And then I like to take my scissors and I like to trim that thread that we had in there, in that center, that hooked those together, and I just clip it. And then I flip this open and I pull it open a little bit and I press the seam in the center down. It's best if you press this seam open because you get so much bulk with a pinwheel. This will help it lay flat, and it will also be a lot easier to quilt over if you're free motion quilting on this, okay? And I'm going to go press this, and then I'll show you what we have. All right, so this is what we have. Pretty perfect pinwheel. This is what it looks like on the back side. So that was 1, and when it finishes at 13 by 13, okay? So we will have to trim this square when we start trimming up our blocks. Who knows? Who knows what size they're going to be? We're going to figure that out when we get to the very end and we start putting our quilt together, just as we discussed when we very first started this journey of the block of the month. So we have some blocks that are small, we have some blocks that are big, and the reason for that was because I wanted to show you what to do if you get in a situation where you have some that are too big and some that are too small. Everything can be fixed, okay? So that's what I want to teach you, is that everything can be fixed. Don't freak out about things. And so that's where we're going to go from there. You still have another block that you can make out of what I just gave you. So if you cut your fabric 14.5 by 14.5, you will get two 13 by 13 inch blocks. So I haven't made this one yet. When I did the smaller one, I did this one at 10 by 10, 10.5 by 10.5, and it also gave me two, but this one finished at 9.5 by 9.5. So use your own discretion. Plus you have to allow for seam allowance and things like that. So, and everybody's machines are a little bit different. And so you have to know your own machine and how that works, but you'll get it. It does work out and it's great and it looks awesome. And so block of the month is a pinwheel. And that's it. So if you'd like to follow me on social media, the links are down below in the description box. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe. You'll get notified each and every time that I upload a new video. If you'd like to share, that's great, because sharing is caring. And keep on crafting. And also, if you're following along with Block of the Month, or you're new to Block of the Month and you want to follow along, you can also find Block of the Month. There's a playlist here on YouTube that says Block of the Month 2020, or you can go to my website, which is craftyauthor.com, and there is a tab at the top that says Block of the Month, and it has all of the blocks of the month that we've done so far. It tells you everything that you need to know, measurements and whatnot, and also links to the videos so that you can see the full tutorials. So that's it. Keep on crafting. See you guys next time. Bye-bye.